And we are live. Okay, so what you're gonna see next is a brief summary of Neil Gaiman's The Art of Storytelling Masterclass. If you want to get a full summary of this course, you can click on the link in the description, okay? We're not affiliated to Masterclass or to any other course creator. We're just here to give you summaries of the internet's most popular courses, so you can decide by yourself if you want to buy the course. Okay, think about it as, this is like Blinkist, like book summaries, but for courses. Okay, so let's begin this brief summary of Neil Gaiman's The Art of Okay, so let's begin this brief summary of Neil Gaiman's The Art of Storytelling Masterclass. Okay, so introduction. This course will teach you how to find the tools to write, show you where the pitfalls are, the nuts and bolts of writing, what is a story and how to build it, and give you the push you need. Truth in fiction. Fiction uses lies to tell true things. Fiction gives you something big and important that otherwise you wouldn't get. Fiction has to be as honest as you can make it. People respond to honesty. Sources of inspiration. A writer needs to have a compost heap. A compost heap is a place where you write down passages that you liked, that inspired you. This is where you store just all sorts of information, content that is going to help you with your writing. So Lou Reed is one of Neil's inspirations, and according to Neil, there is story in Lou Reed's music and in his choice of words. So Neil learned from him not to tell readers how to feel. The readers should find it themselves. Okay? So your influences are not necessarily the things you think they are. Your influences are all sorts of things. So it's important to open yourself to everything. Finding your voice. In the beginning, you don't know your voice. A writer's voice is a result of discovering it. When you're beginning, you imitate. You find voices that you like and follow them, and that's fine. You don't have to get it right at the beginning. You will make mistakes. The most important thing is to just write. To find your mistakes, you do stuff. That's the process of living and creating. It's a process you will always screw up in some way or another, but you have to keep on doing. And this is one of the key messages from this course, and it's why I like it so much. Developing the story, part 1. Writers often know they have an idea, but they're not sure if they have a story. They don't know if their idea has legs. So how to build a story, a novel, a plot. A story is anything fictional that keeps you turning the pages and doesn't make you feel cheated at the end. What's going to happen next is the game you play as a writer with your readers. That's what keeps them turning the pages. Things they don't know, things they care about. Fill the pages with this stuff. Developing the story, part 2. Keep your readers wondering, is he going to kiss her or poison her? Does she know about the missing will? Are they going to be happy together or split up? And then what happened? The 4 words anyone writing or telling a story wants to hear throughout their story. These 4 words show that people care. Okay, so you always want your readers to ask themselves, and then what happened? Those words are the most important words for a storyteller. You need to do anything you can to keep your readers glued to the story. You need to care about your readers, and they need to care about what happens next. Short fiction. A good short story is a magic trick. It's simple, not grand. Someone shows you their hands, covers them, and then there's a rose there. Short stories are like this. When you're writing short fiction, you just want to feel these characters didn't start to exist the moment the story began. You want to know they existed all along. You want to know things that have happened to them, things that have taken them to that point of the story. And now you place them into the unraveling time. And it's the last chapter of a novel. So short fiction, according to Neil, should read as the final chapter of a novel. Dialogue and Character, Part 1. When Neil started, the most terrifying thing for him was character creation. He didn't understand them. He learned about dialogue from his years as a journalist doing interviews. After transcribing the tapes of an interview, so about 10,000 words, he would turn them into a 2,000 to 3,000 word interview. He learned about economy and how to make people sound like themselves. Economy was the most useful thing to go out and write fiction. He learned to compress, to show who someone is by what they say. Dialogue and Character, Part 2. The process of writing good dialogue is a listening process. You write the line before and then you listen. Then you write the next line. Neil needs to know what people he writes about look like. Dialogue must not feel forced. Once you have a character who can say anything, you can also have a character who can say incredibly wise things as well. So it's like real people, right? You may know someone who doesn't usually say smart things, but then once in a while they say something that's super smart and everyone is like, wow, that was unexpected. So a similar thing happens with fiction characters. So train yourself to listen to the character. World building. The joy of world building in fiction is playing God. All fiction is fantasy. You're creating a world that didn't exist. It is an act of magical creation. When starting, don't borrow someone else's world. What you want to do is get out, look at places, get to know them, and then change them. Make them bigger or smaller or scarier, depending on what you are writing. Neil would usually make them scarier, right? So sneak in things from the world you know into the world you create. Descriptions. Words are the most important thing writers have. Let's talk about what we can do with them. You describe what needs to be described and explain what needs to be explained. Neil doesn't believe in getting rid of descriptions. When you're writing, you play God. There are no rules other than to tell a great story and tell it as best as you can. There's enormous pleasure in describing, so do it. You don't have to cut back. Describe the world you are building. Humor. Neil says humor is vital in anything you do. Humor is something you've always thought, and now somebody has articulated it in a way you've never seen before. Articulated it. Okay, that's a complicated one for a non-native English speaker. Sometimes humor is just the joy of the unexpected. Genre. In a genre, something has to happen. There are elements that make a genre, such as outlaws, saloons, and gun duels in westerns. You have to know what readers are coming for when they read the genre you're writing. They're going to expect certain things from you, specific scenes and specific characters. A plot is just a way to tie it all up. Dealing with writer's block. When staring at a blank page, don't give in to despair. Do this instead. Number 1, don't just sit there staring at the page. Go do something else. Go for a walk, chop wood, go play with children. Do whatever it is you can do. Neil has stopped writing a book, thought about it for a few months, and then came back when he had the answer. Number 2, come back pretending you've never read what you've written and read it through. The direction the story should take becomes obvious. The problem is always earlier than the place you got stuck. So discover where it is. It's okay to abandon a chapter that leads you to a dead end. It's even okay to abandon a whole novel, a whole writing project, if it leads you to a dead end. Editing. As a writer, what you're doing is a twofold process. You're creating and then fixing or editing your creation. When you write, you explode like a bomb. You explode onto a page and get to the end of it. And then you get to see how it worked. You can now think about it, what works and what doesn't work. Once Neil is done writing, what he does is he leaves what he has written and walks away. Then a week later, he prints it out and comes back to it and pretends that he's never read it before. And then he reads it and makes notes on the margin of everything that doesn't work as a reader. So he forgets about the project for a while, and then he comes back to it with fresh eyes, and he puts himself into the shoes of the reader and analyzes the writing as if he were the reader. Okay? Rules for writers. Number 1, you have to write. If you don't write, nothing will happen. That's probably the most important thing from this course and any writing course. Number 2, you have to finish what you write. You have to let it go into the world. Also very important. If you don't ship, you will never know the result of your work. Number 3, after you finish it, send it out to the world to someone who could publish it or share it on the internet. The internet broadens your scope. And we all know that if it wouldn't be for the internet, you wouldn't be listening to this and learning from one of the greatest or rather most commercially successful writers of the past few decades. Okay? The writer's responsibilities. My responsibility is to tell good, honest stories. Tell them as well as I can and encapsulate as much as I can the things and values I believe in within the stories. Okay, so that's it. This is the... Okay, so that's the summary, a very short summary of Neil Gaiman's The Art of Storytelling Masterclass. If you want to get the full summary, you can check out the link in the description. And if you want to get the full course, then you can also I've also left the link below, so you can get it there. Remember, again, we're not affiliated to the course creators. This is just a course summary to help you decide if this course is right for you. Okay, so thank you and see you in the next summary. Make sure you subscribe because we're going to be uploading many more course summaries, not only from Masterclass but from other types. Make sure to subscribe because we're going to be uploading lots of course summaries.